Patrick Fitzmaurice.
Here.
James Davis.
Here.
Dave Manella.
Here.
Kirk Drum.
Here for life.
Dave Doherty. Ronald Randolph.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we would ask you to silence all phones and electronic devices. If you wish to appeal any recommendation of the commission, appeals cards are to our right. If you wish to speak in front of the commission, we ask that you fill out a speaker's card. Each side will be provided 10 minutes with 5 minutes for rebuttal. And lastly, at the end of each case, we would ask that if you wish to speak amongst yourselves, you go outside of the building, because if you go into the back foyer area, it does echo into the chamber. This time, we would ask you to rise with an invocation by Commissioner Randolph, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Casabon.
We're going to ask everyone, as we all know, we've lost one of our parish councilmen, Honorable Frank Dennis Sharp. We'll just bow our heads for a moment of silence, and we'll go right into our invocation. Gracious Father, once again, we come to you, thanksgiving and praise in our hearts for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives. Even through the inclement weather conditions, you've blessed us. You've shown us your grace and mercy. Continue to bless us, our families, our homes in a mighty way. Bless our government we represent and we serve. Bless these commissioners and those that's in the audience. In all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
As a point of personal privilege, I'm sure tonight you see we have Kara with us, who is our temporary commission secretary. We have had Lauren Davis for quite a while, and Lauren has decided to retire, if you will. She had decided that to stay home with her children, and on behalf of the commission, we thank Lauren for her wonderful service, and we respect and praise her for her decision to want to raise her children instead of spending her Tuesday nights with us. So again, we thank Lauren for her service. In our packets, we have our minutes from our May 2nd, 2017 meeting. If commissioners would please review, and I would entertain any comments or motion. Commissioner Richard.
These were emailed to us. We had an opportunity to review them. I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Richard to approve, second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further comments? Please vote. Excuse me, again, this evening, the tally system is not functioning. It's being replaced. And so our secretary will read out the vote, and if there are any negatives, she will state who those are.
11 yeas and 0 nays.
Motion carries. Staff, are there any cases which are to be postponed? No postponements. This is a public hearing. The public is encouraged to speak on behalf or in opposition to any of the cases. Zoning change request cases, applications for a proposed change of zoning district or amendments to the land use ordinance requiring review and recommendation of approval by the Zoning Commission before action by the Parish Council are as follows. 2016-522-ZC, withdrawn. Existing zoning, A2 Suburban District, proposed zoning, HC2 Highway Commercial District. The parcel, 1.93 acres. Petitioner, Telus Management, Rebecca Rostrup. The owner, Earl and Mary Dufresne, Julio and Ann Arana. The parcel is located on the south side of Parker Drive, west of Louisiana Highway 59, Ward 3, District 5. This was postponed by the April 4th, 2017 meeting. Staff? Any further comments?
No, the request was withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. 2016-523-ZC, existing zoning, plan unit development overlay. The proposed zoning, A4 single-family residential district, 146.299 acres. A5 two-family residential district, 3.824 acres. And HC2 highway commercial district, 7.10 acres. The parcel, 157.31 acres. The petitioner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The owner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The parcel is located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 1077, north of US Highway 190, Ward 1, District 1. This was postponed from the May 2nd, 2017 meeting. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request to hear 2016-523, 524, and ZC 06-02-011 all together, since it's all related to the same parcel.
Okay, we will read those into the record. Again, that is 2016 524 ZC and zoning.
Yeah, 523, 24, and ZC 06-02-011.
Thank you. 2016-524-ZC, existing zoning, plan unit development overlay. Proposed zoning, A4A, single-family residential district, A5, two-family residential district, A8, multi-family residential district, HC2, highway commercial district, and plan unit development overlay. The parcel, 157.31 acres. The petitioner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The owner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The parcel is located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 1077, north of US Highway 190, Ward 1, District 3. This was postponed from the May 2nd, 2017 meeting. Zoning case number ZC 06-02-011, a major amendment to the plan unit development overlay, Ward 1, District 3. Parcels located on the east and west sides of Louisiana Highway 1077, north of US Highway 190. The parcel, 122.93 acres. The petitioner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The owner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. This was postponed from the May 2nd, 2017 meeting. Staff?
The 157.31 acre site was originally part of a 285 acre plan unit development approved to be developed as a 1,280 unit traditional neighborhood development. The site is now proposed to be developed as a new subdivision with a total of 436 residential units and with a 7.47 acre commercial site. Note that a zoning change request has also been submitted to establish the underlying of the zoning of the proposed PUD, and it was also submitted as 2017-523 ZC. Friday afternoon, the engineers and as well as the owner of the subdivision became aware of shortly before, became aware of a sensitive drainage area in the northeast corner of the development. As most of you know, I've emailed a revised copy of the plan to all of you, and we should have paper copies available for you today. The area in question is a small, ill-defined ditch, but the engineers believe that it could be the headwaters of the Soap and Tallow Creek. And also, it's would probably be better to leave a 100-foot no-cut buffer between the lots of the subdivision and the creek. So this resulted into a last-minute change that was submitted to you through email, and the changes will result in the following: a reduction of 8 lots, an increase in the green space, and a modification in the roadway configuration in the eastern part of the subdivision. At this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the requested zoning change for the underlying zoning as well as the proposed PUD. As you well know, we also bring up the other part of this PUD, As we stated previously, the site was planned to be developed as a 285-acre PUD. And since the east side of the property was also part of that 285-acre PUD, a major amendment has been requested, and the remaining 122-acre portion located on the west side is required to be amended or separated from the east side of the property. As previously approved, it will be developed with the 79 lots, zero lot line garden homes, which for the most part been fully developed, 73 single-family residential lot, 15 acres of commercial, which is on the east side and the west side of 1077, and a 7.95-acre educational site. And at this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the requested major amendment to the PUD.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Morone on behalf of the petitioner this evening. That's a lot of information to be thrown at you, so I'll try to walk through exactly what the request is up into the most recent change that we made as a result of our concerns about some of the sensitive drainage areas. But the property in question, the first item on your agenda is the 157.31 acres, and this is the property that is located along the east side of Highway 1077, just north of Highway 190. And after months of delays and numerous meetings, the plan has evolved, and we are ready to move forward with you this evening. As Ms. Lambert noted, the current zoning for this property is as a PUD, and this PUD was approved back in 2009, and I think it's important to establish what that is so that we know what we're starting from when we start talking about the plan that's before you this evening. But this plan that you see here on the board was approved as a PUD in 2009 before there was any underlying zoning. The 157.31 acres that is subject to our request is approved for 1,280 residential units. Those units are a mixture of single-family, multifamily, and there are also commercial components to that plan. So it is from this plan that is approved today as we sit here that we springboard off of, and we have been working from to bring you the plan that you see before you now. We're still proposing a mixed-use development. We do have T&D characteristics in it, but as you will learn, what we're proposing is a project that is much less dense. Underlying zoning is now required. It was not back in 2009. We met with Councilman Thompson and Dr. Martin about 3 or 4 times. We also had a meeting with the entire Goodby Civic Association, and as a result of those meetings, the plan changed and evolved, and we were asked to make certain changes to the plan, many of which we were able to do and are reflected on the plat before you. First, we were asked to modify our underlying zoning. The original plan that we submitted to you 3 or 4 months ago asked for underlying zoning of HC2, A8 multifamily, A5, A4A, and A4. We have revised that, and what we're asking for in our underlying zoning today is HC2, the area out along the highway, A5, a very small area of common wall product right by what would be the community center. Then the rest of the project is A4. We have gotten rid of all of the multifamily. There's no A8 in this project, no apartments at all. And we have also gotten rid of the A4A designation. Now, the original plan that we submitted proposed 402 single-family residences and 180 apartments. As I just said, the apartments are gone. They are no longer a part of the plan, and our overall density has been reduced by about 150 units. So 150 units have been reduced since the plan that was originally submitted to you by us. 844 units have been reduced from the plan that is approved as we sit here this evening. We were also asked to create an access way to the school that will be built adjacent to the property. And if you'll look at your plat, this area here is going to be a new public school. and there was a request that we add connectivity to that school site so that the residents don't have to get out on 1077, come down and go in. So it may be a little hard for you to see on that smaller plan, but trust me when I tell you that we have added an access point off of our main drive so that there will be connectivity to that site without the need of getting onto the highway. We were also asked to consider adding some amenities, so I'd like to walk through what those amenities are this evening. First, on the plan, you'll see a town square with a pavilion which will be able to host community events. There are extensive walking paths connecting the green space throughout the project. In fact, there's walking paths that start at the town center by the pavilion, go all the way to the back of the property where you see the large lake. Along there are predestined exercise stations which can be used as an active amenity. Then once you get to the east side of the property by the large lake, you'll see that there's also a children's playground in that area. The lake itself in the rear acts as an active amenity in that it will be a wet pond. It will not only be a wet pond, but it'll be a stocked wet pond. So it'll be available for fishing for the residents as well. Finally, we were also asked by a representative of the fire district in this area to consider stubbing out additional water lines and hydrants for the property to the north, up around Wilkinson and McGee Road, and to the south to help with the overall fire rating in the area. And we are committed to doing that. We will stub out a water line with a hydrant at the intersection of McGee and Wilkinson Road to the north, and to the south we will also stub out another line with another hydrant that can be used in that area. Ms. Lambert noted that our engineers recently came across information that led them to believe that we needed to make one final modification to this plan. It is no secret from our meetings with the residents, and certainly no secret to many of you and those that are familiar with this area, that drainage is a paramount concern. It is to us as well. We determined, and if you look closely at the plan before you, it's not much more than a ditch, but there is a ditch that ran through the northeast corner of our lots. After further investigation, we believe that that ditch may in fact be the headwaters of the Soap and Tallow Creek. As a result, we felt compelled to modify the plan to create at least a 100-foot buffer off of that creek, and that is the change that we made only recently. Basically, rather than a roadway that arced around and would have gone into that sensitive area, we have cut that road short, we have brought it to the south, and we brought it around that area. We lost 8 lots in the process. We picked up some green space in the process, but we felt like it was the right thing to do, and we felt like now was the time to do it, rather than presenting to you a plan that we knew potentially had a flaw in it that we would need to correct in the future. So while we hated to make that change late in the game, that's when we received the information or found the information, and we moved as quickly as we could to address it. I contacted Dr. Martin as soon as I knew. He had been out of town, advised him of this change, but again, we feel like although it is late in the game, it's for a good reason. It results in less lots and more green space. Seemed like the thing to do. So what is our current request? Again, it is simply for underlying zoning of HC2 along the highway, A5 right in the town center, and A4 throughout the rest of the project. We are down from 1,280 some odd units allowed to 436 units. That's an 844 unit reduction off of the existing approvals for this parcel of property. Our green space is now over 58 acres, about 37% of the project. We are avoiding most of the wetlands on the site and avoiding some of the sensitive drainage areas in the site. And of course, we're going to have central utilities that will not be housed on site, will tie into Tammany Utilities' existing facilities in the region. So with that being said, we would respectfully request your approval this evening of our underlying zoning and our PUD plan that's before you. We believe that the plan is far less impactful than the existing plan and better than the existing plan. But aside from that, put the existing plan aside, we think we have a very fine plan that we have worked very hard on, and we think it makes good use of the property in its current condition, and we would respectfully request your concurrence with the staff's recommendation for approval of our underlying zoning and our PUD overlay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Dr. Martin and
Jim Bradford here for 285 LLC. I just want to make it clear with respect to zoning cases EC 06-02-011, that's the remainder property, and it's here solely because to the extent Mr. Marone's presented the PUD and zoning on the piece that he's talking about, this is the remainder that's left, and it nearly needs to be amended to reflect the fact that it's smaller in size than it was before. It's essentially the same PUD that it was, smaller in size, and with that, we'd request that it be approved.
thank you.
Dr. Martin, Goodby Civic Association. We have gone through quite a lot with Mr. Marone and a developer, and we're very pleased with the adjustments that they've made as far as zoning goes. They've done a good job of working with everybody in the Civic Association. I like the decrease in density of it. Obviously, I'd like it even less dense, but you know, I do like the idea because times have changed to have gone from 1,200 and a single town structure that went by the wayside, and subdivisions developed along 1077, and of course that was just not workable anymore for the town to be there. So I do, the Goodby Civic Association does approve the zoning change. We do have a lot of concerns in planning that we're going to, I'm sure, work well with Mr. Marone and the developer as far as water management goes, because that's a prime concern to the people in the area. So the Goodby Civic Association does approve the zoning change that Mr. Marone is requesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin.
David Campbell with the Little Tchefuncte River Association, 11082 Garden Lane, Folsom. We do appreciate, I've been also working with the developer and Mr. Marone. They've been very good to work with us, and we came to thank them for that. And I am, on behalf of the Little Tchefuncte River, we may have another statement, but I was here merely to state that I am representing I'm a landowner myself on the upper reaches of the Little Tchefuncte, representing some landowners and homeowners who've been flooded a couple of times. And we know that our number one concern is not the number of units, but water management, and that's our concern. And we hope that we can continue that they're willing to work with us to try to resolve that problem. At the moment, we have different approaches, but that is another jurisdiction and venue, so thank you for letting me just make that statement.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any final comment? You can comment in favor of?
Against.
Okay. One moment. We'll now entertain opposition, and what we did, given 3 cases and the complexity of this, is we added 3 minutes to the presenter. So in opposition, we will grant you a total of 13 minutes if required. Okay? Opposition?
Thank you for the extra 3 minutes. I don't believe I'm going to need it, though. I'm Matthew Allen with the Little Tchefuncto River Association. I also own land north of the property off of Highway 1077 that's affected by flooding of the Tchefuncto River. And I would just want to point out several things about this property. Its location is very special. Highway 1077 actually follows an old trade route from Hustler along the ridge between Bidogo Creek and the Tchefuncto River watersheds. And during flooding, high floods, this area acts as a spillway to allow excess floodwaters to move over to the Bidogo and Tangipahoa River systems. And one of my concerns is with filling in for houses within the floodplain that you'll block off and cork this little spillway that will redirect the higher floodwaters on the north side of the dam, that's Highway 190, and further affect more people upstream. This is a type of development that damages floodplains. More fill within the floodplain is never good. Just after our March floods last year, we've been having lots of calls for dredging and clearing and snagging rivers, when in fact rivers flood. And it's not river flooding that causes damages, it's placing homeowners in the way. The last numbers I found were there were 615 homes flooded on the west side of the parish in March 2016 floods. This would be adding 400 plus more homes into this floodplain. Now yes, you can fill and raise it, but where does that extra flood water go? You displace it onto other people's properties. And I want to point out that the PUD ordinance does deal with this. In section 6.0102, the general provisions, this approval needs to be without hazards to persons or adjacent properties. By plugging up a spillway, which is quite possible, you will be harming adjacent properties with higher floodwaters. And you're also putting people in harm's way. You might fill it up to the base flood elevation, but what if this fill actually causes the base flood elevations to rise? There's been no study that I've seen that addresses this. And this is actually a requirement for development in a flood zone by the Code of Federal Regulations, Chapter 60. Also, in the St. Tammany Parish Flood Ordinance, 6.0103 for the plan approval, they had an environmental data form that has a false statement on it, which should not be allowed at all. The statement says that, asks, is the property subject to inundation during high water and rainfall? And they checked no, when everybody knows this property goes underwater. It is listed as being an A4 flood zone. So how can you say it's never inundated? Also, the 6.0103, section C3, subsection B, requires that planned urban developments protect the floodplains. By filling in flood zones, you're not protecting the floodplains. By not protecting the floodplains, you put all the residents along the river in danger of greater flood heights and more flooding. In 1983, we had another major flood like this, which was actually higher. I've lived along this river my whole life. Afterwards, the Department of Transportation actually raised Highway 190 a couple feet to prevent it from going underwater. Well, it went underwater again last year. And because of that raising, the houses on the north side of the highway actually had more water in them than in 1983, although it was less rainfall and actually not as high of a flood. So we have to be very careful, and it is the mismanagement of the floodplains that are going to cause the destruction of our quality of life and also cause lots and lots of problems for the parish government. So please make sure there's no fill in the flood zone. And considering that this whole property is in the flood zone, you'll have to fill for roads, you'll have to fill for house pads and everything else. And I'm not sure that according to the floodplain fill ordinances, you're only allowed to fill 24 inches within the floodplain for a house pad. There are some places in this development that I believe, although I don't have access to the detailed elevation studies y'all do, that the fill would have to be more than 2 feet, which would require it to be on pilings. Also, there's supposed to be no fill over 6 inches for roadways. Well, you want to get out of the floodplain, you're going to have to build the roadways more than 6 inches up. So by putting this here, you're not only putting current residents in danger, but you're putting future residents in danger. And instead of 615 homes flooding in the next major flood, you'll have over 1,000 homes flooding in the next major flood if you approve this. And additionally, please remember, there's a strong possibility that this section acts as a spillway to relieve floodwater heights from the Tchefuncte River by allowing it to go into the Bedeco side. These need to be studied before this is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Martha Darden, and I live at 12147 McGee Road. We did flood both March and August, and I'm here, I loved all the facts that he says, and what I'm actually trying to say is maybe beg you, plead to you to not pass this. I'm speaking from my heart that we cannot go through this again. You know, we lost everything in the first flood, and we didn't have nearly as much to lose the second time because we had already lost it 6 weeks prior. And I do think by making this decision, you're making a conscious decision to place all of us on McGee Road and Wilkinson and the community at the back of the street in danger and flooding again. When they started developing just north of us, all of a sudden, I've been there 10 years, all of a sudden they built that one right, Spring Lakes right up north of us. We're in a bowl. McGee Road is in a bowl. Today alone, I had to walk in water above my ankles just to get out down the driveway, and that's just from today's rain. Between the houses, it was above my knees today. If this rain continues, we're under again. We cannot do it. We can physically, emotionally, and financially are destroyed. And I'm tired of feeling this way, and I'm tired of people making decisions that only line their pockets, and they're not looking at the people that live there. So I think if you make this decision, you make a conscious decision to really destroy many families and to line the pockets of the individuals that are building this. And that's just the flooding. That doesn't even speak to the roadways. You come home from downtown Covington from work, it is 6, 7, 8 light cycles to get down 190. And God forbid if you're coming from the interstate. It's a 30-minute trek to get from that Liberty storage shed just to 190. We cannot continue to live like this. We moved out there to live in the country. You know, it is a flood zone. It is and I hate to say this, but that McGee and Wilkinson should never have been approved to be developed when it was 10, 12 years ago. But it was right after Katrina, and builders came in and started building. We foolishly and unfortunately bought on it. We can't sell it. If anybody wants my house, you give me my equity and excuse my loan, and you can have it. And I'll even give you the name of a good contractor who will come back and build it up again for you a third time. But we're tired. We're really, really tired. I'm just begging y'all, if you want to go with this, then make it contingent on the waterways being fixed first, the roadways being fixed first, then come back. Make these people that are saying they're going to do these things, do it first, and don't put the cart before the horse. You know, the horse has got to drive this cart, and not the financial gains of a few handful of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition?
My name is Jenny Graffio, and I live on McGee Road, along with my neighbor that just spoke. I'm standing up here because everything that was just told to you was true. The gentleman who spoke first in opposition, everything that he just told you is absolutely correct. We have taken pictures and pictures and pictures of that property that they're trying to develop completely underwater. If you build it up, instead of McGee Road residents having 2 inches of water, 6 inches of water, we will have 4 feet. And those homes, our homes should not have been built on slabs, but they were approved. These homes should not be built on slabs. If you build them up, if you build that property up, everybody north of that property will no longer have water in their property, they'll have water in their homes. We've gone through it twice just this past year. For Hurricane Isaac, before Spring Lakes was approved, we didn't flood. We had a little bit of water on our street. That, to us, is proof enough that building more on the east side of 1077, which is a floodplain, we live through it every day. We have proof just today that it was underwater. That property across the street that they're trying to develop was underwater. And to say you're going to build a retention pond or a fishing pond is a joke and a slap in the face, because that is not going to take care of the water on McGee Road or anything north of that. It is a floodplain. We've done flood studies. We've lived there. We don't need studies. We can tell you, just the residents on McGee Road and Wilkinson, it is a bad idea. That property should never be developed. It's a floodplain. When the river floods, that's where it goes. It goes on our property and the property across the street. We have proof, pictures, tons of pictures proving our point. It should not be developed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? There's about 30 seconds remaining before we go to rebuttal. Sir, you're speaking in opposition?
Yes, I am. If you will permit me 2 minutes.
So we'll permit you 30 seconds, sir.
Yes, I first said I was neither speaking in favor of, but we weren't going to get into that. I put you on notice that we had water management issues. Since it has come up, we were going to save that for planning, but I simply will say in their presence that unless, for the people I represent, unless we can talk about homes on pilings or piers like several of us have built, and like Covington and Abita are building, then we will oppose it all the way, all the way, all the way.
Thank you, sir.
That's the bottom line.
This time we'll go to rebuttal. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Minella. Well, I guess I would begin by pointing out that we are in a zoning meeting. You just heard a very impassioned plea for about 18 minutes about planning issues. And to maybe refocus, I would simply say this. Take every statement that you just heard as true. I don't believe they are, but take them as true. Would you rather put 1,285 units on that property, or you want to reduce that number by over 800? I would respectfully submit to you that even if everything you heard is true, they would be better off, this parish would be better off, and the property would be better off developed as we're proposing it, as opposed to what is currently zoned today and was zoned since 2009. Obviously, the concerns about drainage are going to have to be addressed at the planning stage. We're very aware of that. I pointed that out to you moments ago when I addressed you to begin the meeting. As you are aware, this is a no net fill area. We are aware of that. We are going to comply with those ordinances. You know, it was suggested that the PUD ordinance says you should not do anything that will hazard or create a hazard to the adjacent properties. Zoning this property or amending the zoning on this property to what we're proposing will not do that, because as you well know, we can't move a spoonful of dirt out there based on whatever you might do tonight. There is a very detailed process that follows where we will all have the data to come in here and speak extensively about what is and what is not the facts out there. That is not tonight. That is not tonight. This is zoning, this is land use, it is not drainage. So I would remind you of that. I would ask you to again consider the plan that is before you. I would ask you to consider the plan that is currently approved, and I would respectfully submit to you that the plan before you this evening with the underlying zoning is a great improvement for all involved. Not just my client, but for all involved, even though some may disagree with me with regards to that. So I'll close by simply saying again that we believe that the plan before you tonight is an exceptional plan. We believe that it makes good use of this property. We believe it's improvement off of the plan that was in place for many years. We would ask for your approval this evening and your concurrence with the staff's recommendation of approval of not only the underlying zoning, but of also the PUD overlay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor during the rebuttal? Dr. Martin, any further comments?
I appreciate coming up again. Basically, it's hard to explain to these people that have gone through so much and suffered so much that this is zoning and it's not planning. And that was my comment about our concern. We approved the zoning because we do appreciate that they moved from 12 to 400. And the rest of it is going to be in planning. But I don't blame them for coming up and telling the stories that they've told, and I hope you'll take it to heart what they've said. I know that's planning, so I think we'll have to face those issues at planning, and that was my mention of water management, because it's very serious in that location, and I think that's going to be a real battle and a real concern for everybody that lives in that area, and we're going to have to really look at that with a microscope before anything can go any further. Okay, I do appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, just to reiterate what Dr. Martin and Ms. Marone were stating, and we let it come forward to us, but it actually is planning. All the drainage issues, which are serious, which Mr. Marone elaborated on as well, have to be worked through. Those are planning commission issues that will be brought forward in the planning. This is strictly zoning. So as we get into rebuttal, further comments relative to planning, I will respectfully stop you. But if you wish to bring up anything about zoning, we want to hear your comments. With that, we also offer 5 minutes of rebuttal for opposition.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. And I will respectfully disagree with yourself, with Dr. Martin, and with Mr. Marone. In the PUD ordinance, it specifically states that it must protect the floodplains to be approved as a PUD.
Draining will be addressed in planning. We will entertain your comments relative to the reduction of density to this on a zoning component, but we will not address anything that will be addressed in planning at this time.
Even though it's involved? Even though it's
proceed. I'm not going to debate with you. Please proceed.
Okay. With that case, if you are not going to follow your own PUD ordinances and talk about how it would not protect floodplains, there is nothing else that I, as a concerned citizen, can say to you at this point. I will also state that, and this is one of the fallacies that's been going on for a decade with this zoning committee, is that flooding is the same as drainage. Flooding is not the same as drainage. Drainage is removing water from the property. Flooding is water coming down from when it rains up in Washington Parish and comes down and hits the 190 bridge and floods everybody, as well as all the new development in the floodplain. So the floodplain is in the PUD ordinance. I respectfully request that you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wish to add anything in the rebuttal?
Okay, zoning. This property should not be zoned for 400 homes. This property was originally zoned for 1,200 homes, which we were excited for. We saw the original zoning for Goodby Square, which is no longer there. We, as residents on McGee and Wilkinson, were pleased. Those houses were to be raised. What I understand is 400 houses are not going to be elevated, so therefore the floodplain and the water cannot sheet off of that property, should not be zoned for 400 homes. It should not be zoned for any homes, but I understand the developer needs to make their money. It's all about money, so I understand that. But these homes put families in danger, as well as our families in danger. The zoning for the 400 from 1,200 as if we should be thanking them is a bad idea. It should not be zoned 400. It shouldn't be zoned anything until the floodplain is corrected. We should not have been approved. Our homes should not have been zoned and should not have been approved, as well as the 400 homes and the 400 future families. That property floods. It is not a drainage issue. It's what it's there for. So 400 homes, we are in opposition. It is a bad, bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make any additional comments? If not at this time, we will close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Also, for the record, we will vote on each of the 3 cases individually when we do vote on those cases. Commissioner Lauren.
Yes, Mr. Morone, could I ask you just 2 quick questions?
Yes, sir.
My eyes are not what they used to be, Paul.
I understand.
If you look at number 10 on the restrictive covenants, it says that the homeowners association or the developer will be responsible for maintenance of the common areas.
Yes, that is correct.
I see you squinting too.
That is correct.
Does that include the ponds?
Yes, I believe that does include the ponds as well.
Okay. So the question goes with that is mandatory homeowners membership.
Yes.
That's not listed in these restrictive covenants, but is that one of the restrictive covenants?
Yes, there will be a detailed master set of restrictions that will be filed separate from the plat, but that will govern the homeowners association, that will require mandatory membership, as well as establish fees and the ability to collect those fees for these maintenance obligations.
Well, the main thing is that we've got some subdivisions in the parish where mandatory homeowners membership is not required. So it winds up that it's a voluntary thing. And you got 1/3 or 1/4 of the people in the subdivision paying the bill for everybody. I just wanted to make sure of that.
Yes.
The only other question was, is this to be a private or gated community?
It is not intended to be gated.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Randolph.
Mr. Morone,
Yes, sir.
will you take a few minutes to identify the before and after zoning recommendation and the new proposal? I know that you've gotten rid of A8 and A4A, leaving H2, A5, and A4. Can you just share with us the benefit of doing that versus what it was back in 2009?
I can certainly try. I think if you, I'll start with what the plan is out there today. And so the first thing I would say is that the difference, the sheer difference in units is significant. Anytime you're going from 1,280 units with an 844 unit reduction, that is significant. And I don't see how that could be viewed otherwise. But what you see before you is the plan that's approved. And one of the major differences is that this plan is regulated by a set of guidelines. So it's sort of unique in St. Tammany Parish. You don't see specific lots because all of that is set forth in the guidelines. And so what you have here is some major components that can be filled in any manner that the developer wants to do. Gives enormous flexibility to the developer, which can be a good thing, but it may not be depending on your perspective. So, unlike our plan, you can have commercial in a number of different areas, not just along the highway. You can have multifamily throughout the property in various areas where we have none. You can have innumerable lot sizes, some very small, much smaller than ours, whereas ours are specified. You know exactly where our lots are. You know exactly how many lots we have on a given block, what their sizes are. You know exactly where the commercial is, and you know that there is no multifamily whatsoever. So those are all some characteristics that are different between these two plans. So I would say, to sum it up, the number of units and then the definition of what you have with this plan. Also, I would point out that you will see that the developed area on the existing plan extends much further to the east. And if you look at the plan before you, you will see that there is more of an area, and I'll just say in here, that on our plan that we are leaving as green space in perpetuity. So those are components that I think differentiate the plans, and I would respectfully suggest that our plan is better suited for the property.
Commissioner Davis.
Just looking at the plan itself, if this plan, let's say, was in high and dry in Nevada somewheres, it looks like a traditional neighborhood district to me. I like the way you have the commercial in the front. I like the way you have the little bit higher density with the people behind it, and then you have the A4 zoning in the back. As is right now, I think the zoning is definitely a better situation. There's no question about that, as far as I'm concerned with that. Obviously, people are concerned about flooding and damaging. Obviously, we keep telling you that, yes, it's involved in the planning department, and that is true, of course. But also, we look at it from the point of zoning. Okay, does this place, will it be appropriate for where it's at with the current zoning it is now? If nothing is developed on this property, it's not going to help you. Period. That's a fact. You'll still get the flooding as you are now. But let's say this property is built up at a less density than what is initially made. When it does go to the planning department and they have to do the impact of all the floodings and such, obviously it is a no net fill area. That's a fact. So that's going to assist the people on that relationship, knowing that these houses are just going to and they may or may not be built on slabs. Some of them may be built raised. That's just a fact. But that goes through the planning department. Now, this commission, which serves as both the planning and the zoning, obviously, you would think it'd be more of a 50-50 situation where it has to go through two different features to be able to get this thing built, if it is supposed to be built. Well, actually, we put more scrutiny on planning than we do zoning, be honest. It doesn't seem fair, but that's just the way it is, okay? From a pure zoning issue, I like the plan. I really do. And I appreciate Dr. Martin and David assisting the developer and Paul on this to try to get this thing going on. I think it's a much better plan than previously designed with over 1,200 homes. With that being said, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Richard. Commissioner Richard.
I just want to echo those comments. I am very sensitive to the flooding issues. We talked about this. In fact, I was of the understanding that all this delay in hearing this case was about working out those issues and also understanding what's going on in the parish with the flood study. But that said, this is a better plan than what's there now. And from a pure zoning and land use perspective, I agree with the previous comments and that we should support this change. After that, we're going to have to look at it at the planning stage. I think all the minds are going to come together again, and that doesn't necessarily mean this is going to work. But from a pure zoning and land use standpoint, I support the change.
Commissioner Willie.
One question, Paul. Everybody's talking about draining flood. I just want to throw another question here. On McGee Road, those lots that border McGee Road, will they be able to access that road?
They will not.
Okay.
There will be no access on
All right,
McGee.
thank you.
Any further comments? And again, we will take each of these cases separately for voting. So Commissioner Davis, 2016-523-ZC will be your approval, and Commissioner Richard, your second. And again, case 2016-523-ZZ, we have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Richard. Please vote. And again, our commission secretary will read the votes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Case 2016-524-ZC. Comments or motions by the commission?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Casabon, motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lauren. Any further comments? Please vote.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Zoning case ZC 06-02-011. Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any further comments? Please vote.
Eleven yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 2017-561-ZC, existing zoning, plan unit development overlay, proposed zoning, A1 Suburban District. The parcel, 3 acres. Petitioner, Kyle Associates LLC, Franklin Kyle. The owner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The parcel is located east of Louisiana Highway 1077, identified as surface servitude site number 1, Ward 1, District 3. This was postponed at the May 2nd, 2017 meeting. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear 2017-561 and 562 together, considering that it's the same type of request.
2017-562-ZC, existing zoning, plan unit development overlay, proposed zoning, A1 Suburban District, the parcel, 3 acres. The petitioner, Kyle Associates, Franklin Kyle. The owner, 285 LLC, Richard Murphy. The parcel is located east of Louisiana Highway 1077, identified as surface servitude site number 3, Ward 1, District 3. This was postponed from the May 2nd, 2017 meeting. Staff.
I'd like to bring it to your attention, either looking at the survey that is attached to the cases or to the plan that was just approved in the previous case. And as you can see, you have the surface servitude site 1 and site 3 that are identified here. And basically the request is to rezone those 2 sites to A1 Suburban because they are not part of the plan unit development, and staff would like to recommend approval for both cases.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, this property was previously owned by the Weyerhaeuser Corporation, and when they sold the property to 285 LLC, the current owner, they retained in their favor servitude rights over these squares for future drilling activities if they were ever to be needed. So while the fee simple ownership is with 285, these sites have potentially Weyerhaeuser uses in the future, and so we did not include them in the PUD. In discussing this with Councilman Thompson and Dr. Martin, the request was made simply to rezone them to A1, which is what you have before you this evening. So we would ask that the sites be rezoned as requested to A1, given that information.
Thank you, Mr. Marone.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none at this time, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, second by Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, a question for Paul.
Yes, sir.
Paul, explain to me one more time why we're not making this A1A for 3 acres? Is it because all the surrounding properties A1, or?
Well, the request, these sites are subject to this Weyerhaeuser servitude of use.
Okay.
And so there really is, at present, probably no use for them because of Weyerhaeuser's retained rights. So we were requested to rezone it to A1, and we're happy to do that. It is areas that would be green space in our PUD anyway.
Helen?
If you wish to
So
go
we're
to,
vote-
if you wish to go to A1A, we will support it as well.
I'd rather go to A1A. I just don't see a reason why not to. It's just that it makes this commission look like we're granting 3 acres for A1, and yet we ask the rest of the parish that A1 is for 5 acres.
Certainly, we would defer to whatever the commission wants. We would hope that Councilman Thompson knows that it was not our idea to go to A1A since he requested that we go to
I
A1.
understand, but it just
we
makes a
will-
little common sense to me. Would you rather change the motion and go to A1A?
We would be comfortable with whatever is the will of this commission.
I don't think I made the motion, so somebody's going to have.
Well, no. Let me explain
I
that.
have a question.
Wait, yeah, we'll,
Okay.
let's,
All right.
before we get to that,
I have my say.
let's have Commissioner Willie.
Helen, all the land surrounding these parcels, is it A1 or A1A?
It's A1.
So we'd be putting an A1A in the middle of a A1, right? Yeah. And are we able to do it to A1?
You can approve it for A1 if this is the wish of the commission, yes.
Okay, that's right. I'm going to stick with my same motion then, because of all the surrounding land.
Okay. So now to explain how you would do this under Robert's rules, we have a motion by Commissioner Willie, second by Commissioner Richardson on A1. Okay, now, if somebody would like to change it, then we would have a motion to amend this motion, because the motion is held by the assembly, not by any individual. So at that point in time, if somebody wishes to change it, Commissioner Davis, for example, you can make a motion to amend this motion to A1A. It would need to be second. We would then vote on that. If that one passes, then you amended this one, and we would vote on this one.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the current issue to A1A.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Davis to amend the main motion to A1A. Is there a second?
Doesn't the petitioner have to request?
No. Commission can do it. Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any further comments? So let me explain again what's about to happen. We're voting to amend the first motion. That's what's happening. Okay? So we have a motion by Commissioner Davis to amend to A1A, correct? Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote.
We have 5 yeas and 6 nays. Commissioners who voted nay, please raise your hand.
Motion is denied. We have a motion.
The amendment.
The amendment, right, that's the motion at hand. So the amendment is denied. So we go back to the original motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Willie, second by Commissioner Richardson, to zone this as A1. Please vote. We have 9 yeas and 2 nays.
Commissioners who voted nay, please raise your hand. Y'all are really testing my clerk skills on the first day.
Motion carries.
You're doing an excellent.
We now have the second case. 2017-562-ZC. Currently existing zoning plan unit development overlay, proposed zoning A1. Any comment? Commissioner Lauren.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lauren to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comments? Please vote.
Ten yeas and 1 nay. Commissioner, okay.
I'm sorry, I made the wrong motion on that.
What?
I vote nay for that.
2 nays. Motion carries. 2017-568-ZC, existing zoning, A4A Single Family Residential District, proposed zoning, HC2 Highway Commercial District and Entertainment Overlay. The parcel, 1 acre. The petitioner, Joe Malone. The owner, Indian Village 2 LLC, Joe Malone. The parcel is located on the west side of U.S. Highway 190 East, north of Woodhaven Drive, south of Indian Village Road, Ward 8, District 13. This was postponed from the May 2nd, 2017 meeting. Staff?
Staff doesn't have any objection to the request, considering that there are some existing parcels zoned HC2 and NC4 on the east side of Highway 190, and that the original zoning change request to HC3 has been amended to HC2 and entertainment overlay. At this time, staff would like to recommend approval.
Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Jeff Shane. I'm with the Jones Viesel Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington. I represent the owner and petitioner, Mr. and Mrs. Malone, that have this particular LLC. And this case has an interesting history that hopefully leads you toward a happy ending. When the case was originally filed and on your docket in April, my clients were seeking HC3 zoning for this 1-acre site, but their business plan is to build a restaurant at the location, and the restaurant does include a service bar or bar component where you can get wine, beer, alcoholic content, if you will. The initial filing for HC3 was under the belief that the HC3 zoning was needed for that use, when in fact we determined that H33 was not needed. The case was amended to HC2. However, because the property is surrounded by other property that is zoned residential, you have ordinances that require that if you wish to seek to serve alcoholic beverages in this restaurant location, you need the benefit of the entertainment overlay. So in April, you had an HC3 case. It was on your docket in May, but could not be heard because we had already filed an amendment seeking HC2 and entertainment overlay. Since that time, on May 16th, we held a community meeting at the Towers building in Slidell. We appreciate Commissioner Davis, Daugherty, and Drum being there, as well as Councilperson Blanchard. We also had 2 representatives of many of the homeowners through their homeowners association at that meeting with us, at which time we presented the business plan, which is essentially my client owns a convenience store, gas station on the north side, which is currently zoned HC2. He also owns approximately 11 acres across the street on the south side of 190. He wishes to take only one of that 11-acre, zone it HC2, and build a restaurant. And why? Because in that area, there's really a lack of restaurants. There's a lot of people that live in that area. There's also a lot of industry as it relates to the swamp tours and other people that make recreational use of the waterways in that area. And my client believes that there's going to be a real need for people. People will enjoy, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but we believe that a restaurant will actually be a complement and a convenience to those that live in the area. So in addition to the discussions that we had at the community meeting, we were asked to consider placing a deed restriction on the property that would run in favor of the residents, and we have prepared a draft of that document. We have submitted it to Councilman Blanchard. Technically, it would be signed and submitted at the time the council would adopt the ordinance if they see fit to adopt it. And in essence, that deed restriction accomplishes three things. Number one, the restaurant hours of operation would cease at 10 p.m. each evening. Number two, there would be no band playing any live music in the evening hours. And number three, the restaurant would not operate as a standalone bar, lounge, nightclub, or tavern. So we're going to make sure that there's no way that my client, who has no intent, or anyone in the future could abuse the zoning if you see fit to recommend this to the council and the council so ordains. I think at this time that's the conclusion of my remarks. I'd rather retain my time to see if there's others in the audience that might wish to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, at this time I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Yes. First of all, let me say thank you to all those who attended, the Commissioners Drum and Doherty and myself and Jeff and the council person at this area and the public that came to the little town hall meeting. I like the plan for this. I do like it. Now, as far as the deed restrictions, of course, this body can't govern that, but since it's been put on tape now, that's another thing that kind of gives you the liability for it. But I'll make a motion to approve this. I think it's a good idea.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner Randolph, any further comments? We have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Please vote.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. And again, I thank the commissioners for facilitating the town hall meeting when we've had cases that have had potential controversy. It's a very effective way for the public to provide input with those who are participating in the process. 2017-636-ZC, existing zoning, A2 Suburban District, Rural Overlay and Manufactured Housing Overlay. Proposed zoning, A2 Suburban District and Rural Overlay, 146.38 acres. Petitioner, Star Partners LLC, Vincent Santani. The owner, St. Tammany Parish Council motion. Parcels located on the north side of Pratt's Road, east of Louisiana Highway 59, Ward 10, District 6. Staff.
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. And the objective of this zoning request is to remove the manufactured housing overlay to preserve the character of the area, which is mostly developed with stick-built homes on large parcels of land. And staff would like to recommend approval of the request. Would also like to point out, if you want to take a minute to look at your zoning map, is that the portion of the property, which is a square on the northern side of Pratt's Road, was been re-annexed to the parish, or de-annexed from the Abita town line, and it's owned by Mr. Vincent Santani. He is here to represent the request for rezoning to remove the mobile home overlay.
Thank you. Mr. Santani, if you'd please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Vincent Santani, 1133 Delta Lane, Covington.
And the reason for the request, sir?
I had requested to annex back into the parish to develop 6 homes. We were getting a little bit of rebuttal when we were doing the annexation because a lot of people were concerned about the possibility of us coming in and putting in trailers or pre-manufactured homes. I'm not sure where they got that rumor. My business is building homes, so that's the reason for the request.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none at this time, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Motion by Commissioner Lauren to approve. Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any further comments? Commissioner Dougherty?
Yes, question for you, Mr. Centani. This whole 146.38 acres will have a mobile home overlay on it? Is that the intent?
No, it's being removed. It did have a overlay and it's being removed.
Okay. I'm reading it wrong. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Mr. Santani is a custom home builder.
Yes, sir.
Any further comments? Again, we have a motion by Commissioner Lauren to approve, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
2017-637-ZC, existing zoning A2 Suburban District, proposed zoning A2 Suburban District and manufacturing housing overlay. The parcel 2.81 acres, the petitioner Loretta Taylor, the owner Loretta Taylor. The parcel is located on the north side of Horseshoe Island Road, east of Louisiana Highway 434, being 30565 Horseshoe Island Road, Lacombe, Ward 6, District 11. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses, including manufactured home, and staff would like to recommend approval of the request.
Is the petitioner here? If you please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record and the reason for your request, sir.
Damian Taylor, 30565 Horseshoe Island Road, Lacombe. Trying to move the kids back to the house. So manufactured home is easier financially than building a house.
Certainly. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the petition? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Drum. Commissioner Davis, any further comments? We have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Drum. Please vote.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. 2017-642-ZC, existing zoning A3 Suburban District. Proposed zoning A3 Suburban District and manufacturing housing overlay. A parcel 5,900 square feet. The petitioner Robert and Jacqueline Steele. The owner Robert and Jacqueline Steele. The parcel is located on the south side of Howard Street, east of Hardin Road, being Lot 9, Ozone Air Subdivision, Ward 8, District 14. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses, including manufactured home, and staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Ma'am, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Jacqueline Steele, 40186 Howard Street, Slaughter, Louisiana, 70461.
And the reason for your request, ma'am?
To have family members move into it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner Davis.
Question for staff. Is there any manufactured home overlays in the area?
Not in the immediate surrounding. However, there are some mobile homes in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? We've got a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Please vote.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. 2017-643-ZC, existing zoning A1 Suburban District, proposed zoning A2 Suburban District and manufacturing housing overlay. The parcel's 3 acres. Petitioner, Cinnamon Peterson. The owner, Ronald Peterson. The parcel is located on the west side of Peterson Road, south of Louisiana Highway 40, being 82269 Peterson Road, Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
Staff doesn't have any objection to the request to allow for the mobile home overlay. However, since the site is surrounded by A1 Suburban District, staff would not recommend approval of the request to rezone to A2 Suburban.
Is the petitioner here? If you please state your name and address.
Penny Peterson, 82269 Peterson Road, Folsom, Louisiana. Cinnamon's my granddaughter. So.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
My name's Ronald Peterson. I live at 82269 Peterson Road. I own the property, and I'd like to have this manufactured home approved because my granddaughter helps me take care of my wife when I'm not able to, and it would really help me and her both out.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
I have a question of staff first. I like your recommendation of leaving it at A1. Are they able to put a mobile home on that property if there's a residence on that property already, if it stays A1?
They would be able to, as a guest house, which would have to be under 1,000 square feet. I don't know what the intention of the owner is.
It's going to be, she stays there, she has some property she's paying off in Franklinton, and right now she's wanting to live over there close by me. So it's not a permanent thing, it's going to be a few years, you know, until she can get everything set up.
Ma'am, the question is, will the dwelling that you want to place on there be in excess of 1,000 square feet?
Yes, it's right at 1,000 square feet, I think they told me.
Commissioner.
Or is it going to be more or less than 1,000? Yeah.
Less.
Less?
Yeah.
So then she'll be able to put one less than 1,000 square feet on that property, right?
That's correct.
And then the petitioner would have to amend her request to A1, based on your recommendation?
It is A1.
Basically, amend it, or the commission could just vote in favor of the mobile home overlay.
Okay, I move to approve the mobile home overlay on that property.
I'll second it.
And that'll be with the zoning of A1? Okay. So the motion is to approve the manufacturing housing overlay with the zoning of A1, which will afford you to do what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as the house is under 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We have a motion by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Davis.
Should we make a motion to approve it as A1A again, since it's 3 acres?
There's too much A1 around.
Okay, well, I mean, but that's not the point. The point is we're taking something that's not in compliance with the rules and regulation of this parish.
We have a motion to approve A1 with a manufacturing housing overlay. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Richardson. Any further comments? Please vote.
We have 9 yeas and 2 nays. Commissioners that voted against it, please raise your hand.
Did you vote against it, Commissioner Davis? We had Commissioner Fitzmaurice vote against, and did Did you vote against it as well?
Against the mobile home overlay?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we voted on.
As a one, I'm voting against.
Okay, so yes. So
Okay.
motion carries.
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the hands go up and they come right down. It's hard for me to see. Could I see again who voted against it? Thank you.
You're very welcome. Commissioner Fitzmaurice and Commissioner Davis. Right. Right. It's one and the same. 2017-644-ZC. Existing zoning, A1 Suburban District and Manufacturing Housing Overlay. Proposed zoning, A2 Suburban District and Manufacturing Housing Overlay. The parcel, 10.64 acres. The petitioner, Paula Sharp. The owner, Derek Spell, Gregory A. Sharp, Vicky R. Sharp, Paula Sharp, Kelly Rogers, and Sherry Spell Montgomery. The parcel is located on the southeast corner of Robert Road and Robb Road, Ward 2, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to develop the site with residential and agricultural uses. At this time, staff does not recommend approval for the request, considering that the site is surrounded by parcels of land zoned A1 suburban. However, I would like to point out to you, if you would take a look at the attached survey, which is a proposed minor subdivision. And if I'm not mistaken, the objective of this zoning is to allow for the creation of the different parcels that are shown here and to bring the other parcels into compliance with the appropriate zoning.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? If you would please state your name and address for the record, ma'am.
Paula Sharp, 19231 Robb Road, Covington. And we're basically just trying to split up the property that we own, that put lines on the map, and so we can all stay there, you know.
It's all family-owned.
Mhm.
Understood. Any other comments, ma'am?
No.
No. Very well. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of this? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, this is family-owned property. These are all brothers and sisters, which in the day that you could give your child, so nothing's going to change. The houses are on it.
The same amount of families are going to still be there.
They all own it. One wants to build a house. He's in a trailer now, and he just wants to build a house, but they have to kind of go through succession and do, you know, to get it all divided up legally. So I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve. Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comments? Please vote.
I'm missing one vote. I have 11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. 2017-647-ZC, existing zoning A3 Suburban District in I1 Industrial District. Proposed zoning A3 Suburban District 56.29 acres and I1 Industrial District 1.43 acres. The parcel 57.7 acres. The petitioner, Dove Park Estates LLC, Corey Herberger. The owner, Point of Interest LLC. The parcel is located on the north side of Dove Park Road, west of US Highway 59, Ward 4, District 5. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request to hear 2017-647 and 2017-648 at the same time, considering that it's the same parcel.
2017-648-ZC, existing zoning A3 Suburban District and I1 Industrial District. Proposed zoning A3 Suburban District, I1 Industrial District, and a planned unit development overlay. The parcel 57.7 acres. The petitioner, Dove Park Estates LLC, Corey Herberger, owner, Point of Interest LLC. The parcel is located on the north side of Dove Park Road, west of US Highway 59, Ward 4, District 5. Staff.
A zoning change request was submitted for a 57.7 acre parcel to establish the underlying zoning of I-1 and A3, and also zoning change was submitted for a PUD, planning and development overlay, to create an 84-lot single-family residential subdivision and a 1.43 acre industrial site. Just a little bit before the meeting or during the meeting, I submitted or distributed to all of you the final plan, which was submitted this afternoon. It meets all the PUD requirements, and we would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of the developer of Dove Park Estates. The property on your plat is located not far from where we are this evening. It's across I-12 and on Dove Park Road, much closer to the Highway 59 side than the west side of the property. In fact, for those of you familiar with that roadway, it is the property immediately across from the CLECO office building and right next to the existing CLECO substation. It also borders, or is a portion of it borders near the Tammany Trace in that area as well. Most of the property, as you'll see from your staff report, is currently zoned industrial. It's I-1. About 3/4 of the property, I would say, today is zoned I-1. The other fourth is zoned A3. Our request this evening is to downzone the entirety of the property to A3, to convert it to residential, except for a little over an acre, which is the site that is immediately next to the substation. Since it is immediately next to the substation, we would ask that that remain I-1, but that the remainder of the site be changed to A3. Under the A3 zoning, we would be entitled to have about 112 lots on this site. We are proposing only 84. We have 51% of the site maintained as green space, or about 29 acres. We have avoided the sensitive areas, which I'll talk about in a minute, as well as the wetlands. And we've also provided for a 100-foot buffer along the little creek, which runs through the property. The PUD ordinance contemplates that we try to work with the existing physical characteristics of the property. We try to design around those, and that is really what drives the plan before you. We certainly could have made the plan a little bit more exciting, a little bit more innovative, but to do that, we would have had to encroach into wetlands. We would have had to encroach into buffers that were needed for the stream in the area, and we just didn't feel like that was advisable under the circumstances. So there were really three characteristics of this property that we had to deal with. One was the little creek. Two was some sensitive wetlands on the north side of the property, and third was a power line that runs through the property. All of those really dictated the area that we felt should be developed or could be developed, and that is the plan that you see before you this evening. We have amenities in the project which include a half-court basketball court, a children's playground. We're also proposing to provide a pedestrian and bicycle access way to the trace. We recognize we will need separate approval from you sitting as the Planning Commission to enter the trace to make that connection, and if we are fortunate enough to be approved this evening at zoning, when we come back to you at preliminary, we would seek to couple that request with the request to enter the Tammany trace for access to it. The site will have central utilities as is required by your PUD ordinance. We will not have those utilities on site. We will be tying into Tammany Utilities' existing facilities that are off-site and connecting to those lines that are already in place, which I believe are at the intersection of Dove Park and Highway 59 for the sewer, and the water line, I believe, is actually out in front of the property. So again, we're proposing to downzone most of this property from its current industrial zoning, converting it to A3 zoning with less density than even the A3 would allow. We're trying to preserve the sensitive and critical areas on the site, and we would respectfully request you concur with the staff's recommendation for our underlying zoning and our PUD overlay, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Lauren.
Helen, look at the staff report on 647. What am I reading wrong where it says we're going to change, the requested change is from I-1 Industrial District and A3 Suburban District to I-1 Industrial District and A3 Suburban District?
What happens is that there's a portion of the property that is currently zoned A3, and a large portion of the property is currently zoned A1. So the request is to keep that portion that is currently zone A3, and then to rezone a portion of I-1 to A3.
It's just a portion of it.
It's just a portion of it. And then the PUD overlay is requested as well.
It proves I read your reports.
Any comments or motions? Commissioner Randolph.
As I understand it, that portion is the 1.43 acres. Am I correct?
Basically, to make it short, is that the 1.43 acre is going to remain I-1 and the rest is going to be A3.
With that, I so move.
Make a motion to approve, and this is on 2017-647-ZC. We'll vote on them separately. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner Davis.
One question for Paul. This development, the Dove Park Estates development, this is the one that we also got, the commission was sent the information about the traffic impact and about turning lanes. Is that correct? Or is that a different project? Must be the next one.
I don't know.
It was attached to your latest email. It was just submitted to me, and I just forwarded it to you.
That was for this development, though, correct? Well, I got one question about that, even though it's more planning and not, but since it was given to us. Do they consider Dove Park Road a major road or a minor road?
You know, I don't know the answer to that.
Because that matters with the traffic impact analysis that you gave us. And I was just wanted to make sure that I'm clear of that, because if it was considered a major road, I could see how it would need a turning lane, but if it was considered a minor road, it might need a turning lane.
I don't know. We did that study early, obviously, because we were entering the summer months. Right. And if we were successful in zoning, we would not be able to take the counts during the summer months. So we're a little premature there, and to be honest with you, I did not study it in great detail to be able to answer that. Okay. But when we come back to you in planning, I will have that answer for you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Richard.
Paul, while you're up there, obviously, you know, there's more of a need, I guess, for residential than industrial in this location, but the one thing, and the plan looks fine, I understand what you're trying to do and how you're saving the space and working with it. The only thing that's kind of funny, and I know this is a plan and not a zoning, but from a PUD standpoint, you got it's like two separate subdivisions here. They don't connect because I guess Little Creek or whatever, but two entrances and it's almost two developments.
That's we had that very same discussion with staff. They brought up had the exact same comment that you did, and you hit on what the obstacle is, and that is that Little Creek cuts the property running north to south, and it really did not allow to connect, which resulted in what you see. Not what we had hoped to do, but we could not really find a good way to navigate that to be able to have that connectivity and still stay out of the Little Creek area. But a very good point, and we looked at trying to design around that, but weren't able to do so.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Please vote.
I have 11 yeas and 0 nays.
The second case, 2017-648-ZC. Bring it to the commission. Any comments or motions? Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Any further comments? Please vote.
Eleven yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Zoning case number ZC 12-10-104. A major amendment to a plan unit development overlay. Ward 1, District 3, parcel located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 1085 west of Tallow Creek Boulevard. The parcel 53.5 acres, the petitioner Hidden Creek LLC, the owner Joseph Middich, the council District 3. Staff.
The request is to allow for the placement of a community pool and a recreation district within a 100-foot no-cut buffer, as shown on the attached PUD plan. Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that there's an existing covered pavilion on the site and the area was already cleared, and at this time would like to recommend approval.
Is the petitioner here? Is there a representative for the petitioner?
Someone from Hidden Creek was invited to be here or supposed to be here to represent the case.
Is there anyone in favor of the request? Is there anyone in opposition to the request? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Bert Fonkeberter. I live at 14469 Highway 1085, less than 1,000 feet away from Hidden Creek. We're asking tonight that y'all deny this request. Basically, what we've done for the past over 15, 20 years was work with all the developers along Highway 1085 to create 100-foot no-cut buffers to preserve the aesthetics of the area, to leave it in its natural state. Tarabella, Tallow Creek, Beau Arbory, Del Sol, and including Hidden Creek have all worked with us to preserve these areas. Beau Arbory, for instance, has went into the no-cut areas and cut the sides of those areas. We met here and the commission had asked us to go in the back room. They awarded the homeowners in that area about $12,000 to replace the trees that were cut in the no-cut buffer. So we worked with that developer to replant his trees. We planted thousands of trees in a no-cut. So getting back to what is going on in Hidden Creek, we feel that the developer agreed to this no-cut, and we'd like him to honor it. Now, he's building homes in the back of his subdivision. If he wants a pool in a community center, he can go in the back of his subdivision and do so. But along the highway, it's a very busy highway. It's a dangerous situation to have kids around the highway, not to mention the situation with the buildings. It's a little pavilion, kind of a glorified bus stop. You know, there was an old house there, it was removed, and we were hoping the area would be landscaped or improved in that natural setting. But that's basically what's going on out on Highway 1085, and we request that you keep the buffers no-cut. And we would like help with the buffers to keep developers and homeowners and stuff from spraying the Roundup in these no-cuts. So you kind of have a no-cut that they're going out and killing the vegetation and trees anyway. But that's for another day, but we just want to enlighten everybody that we're trying to preserve the area out there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in opposition?
Hi, my name is Debbie LaCicero. I'm at 71241 Village Du Bois, and I'm at the corner of Highway 1085 Bootlegger Road and Village Du Bois, which is right across from that subdivision, so we're directly impacted by it. We worked really hard with the developers to keep this 100-foot buffer, as Bert has said, all along 1085. It's a beautiful highway, but it's a major highway, and at some point, it's probably going to, a turning lane's going to be stuck in there. We're going to lose some of the buffers along the way, because if you know Highway 1085 between 1077 and 21, it is major traffic. I moved here when it was country. I used to see 3 cars an hour, but that's a whole lot different now. So if they put this pool where they want to put it on Highway 1085, basically, if the highway expands, then the pool is going to be on the highway. I mean, they have all this area on the backside that has not been developed yet. They've developed the front of the subdivision, but not the backside. So we're asking that you deny the request that they have lots of land they can put the pool on. They have 53 acres. There's no reason to put it on the highway. And as Bert said, the building that they're talking about is a little tiny arbor type thing with a bunch of plants around it. We just thought it was just going to be a landscape, not something that they're going to add on. So for them to put the pool in the parking area that they want to add, they're going to have to cut into some of that tree buffer. So I appreciate your consideration in denying it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? This time, we'll close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
I have a little concern that the petitioner's not here on this matter. I also have another concern that the 100-foot no-cut buffer, I know we talked about this earlier, is going to be jeopardized in this, where they could easily build the pool and the house on the northern side of Poplar Creek Court. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to postpone, at least till we get the developer in here to talk about it.
I'll second that. Motion by Commissioner Davis to postpone for 1 month. Commissioner Davis? Yes. For 1 month, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner Drum, did you? Okay. Any other comments? We have a motion by Commissioner
I have a
Richard.
comment. Obviously, we have a motion to postpone, and I guess that would take precedent. Unfortunately, I know Commissioner Drum had some comments he wanted to make, but what's that?
Sure. No, we can make comments. We can make comments. Commissioner Drum.
The motion to delay,
postpone,
override, postpone. But since we have 3 people against, and we
please be mindful that when you make your comments, that we would have to vote on the motion to postpone.
Oh, yes.
You can make another motion, and that motion can actually be denied. So please make your comments.
We have 3 people against, but we don't have anybody who is willing to take their time to come here and stand up for what they want. And so I didn't like that. End of comment.
Commissioner Richard, that question for you as parliamentarian, though the motion to postpone does take precedence over any other motion.
It does.
But that motion would have to be approved. We can have, if that motion were to be denied, then we would entertain other motions, correct?
That is correct. And I would like to, in speaking of just that issue, I would recommend that we consider denying that motion to postpone so that we can bring up another motion. I think that point that Commissioner Drum made is well made. These people came out. I think we would want to protect that 100-foot buffer anyway. We have a lot of questions about that, pushing this off another month. And make these people come back again. They're probably going to have to come back for an appeal, but So I'm asking this body to vote down the motion.
Staff, Helen, did you receive any correspondence subsequent to when they said they were going to be here?
I've spoken to the person who was supposed to be here to represent the owner, and, you know, he responded to me positively last week that he was going to be at the meeting, so.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Davis.
In all fairness, I only made the motion to postpone so I could tell the individual who was going to come up here next month that I was going to deny.
Okay.
So in that being said, can I withdraw the motion to
No.
postpone?
No.
Okay.
But you can, if you wish, can vote against it. Correct me again, Mr. Commissioner Richard, this is part of the Roberts Rules.
That is correct. We have a motion on the floor. Comments have been made. We'll call for the vote.
We have a motion by Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to deny.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by, or second by Commissioner Drum. Now, Commissioner Richard.
We still have to address the motion to postpone, which takes precedence, so call for the vote.
Thank you. We do have a motion by Commissioner Davis to postpone for 1 month, second by Commissioner Drum.
No, no, not for the month. No, I'm
No,
not.
it's Davis
Yeah,
and Fitz.
Oh, excuse me, Davis and Fitzmaurice.
Yes.
Excuse me. Thank you for the correction. Motion by Commissioner Davis to postpone for 1 month, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote. Yes, sir. No, a yes would mean you voting for deny. A no would mean you're voting against the motion to postpone. Okay, let me repeat that. A yes vote would affirm that you want it postponed. A no vote says no, you do not want it postponed.
Everybody's good? Okay. I have 3 yeas and 8 nays. Everyone that voted against it, please raise your hand.
He doesn't have to vote for his own motion. That's very common. Motion,
Do we have 3 yeas or not?
yes.
Yes.
Who voted yes?
Caspon.
Thank you.
The motion to postpone is denied. We now have a motion to deny, made by Commissioner Dougherty, second by Commissioner Drum. Please vote, please point of, a yes vote is a vote to deny.
I have 8 yeas and 3 nays. Commissioners that voted nay, please raise your hand.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice, Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Casabon. Motion carries. Denied. Is there any old business to come before the commission? Any new business to come before the commission? Motion to adjourn.